My name's Alvin A. Horne. I'm known also as Andy. My last attained rank was as a Navy lieutenant. I then went on R&R. I was fairly thrilled with that enough that I took some leave a month later and went back to Australia. And in mid-August, I had orders sending me back to the States. I returned, flew out on the 16th of August and separated from the active duty in Corpus Christi, Texas, somewhere around the 21st of August. Right after Labor Day, I went back to the DA's office, where I remained for about a year and a half. Well, not that long, 15 months. And I was to the point in the, say, May of 1971 that I was ready to go back in. I didn't want to be in this country. I didn't like the way the veterans were being treated. I had some minor bad treatment, but I didn't want to be around them. I didn't trust them. I knew that I could trust everyone that I served with, and so I was very strongly thinking of going back in. One event occurred is that I got introduced to the lady who became my wife. And from that point on, I never looked back, at least not very long. But I affiliated with a reserve unit in Houston. At that time and for the next 2 or 3 years, I was able to teach international law from an officer's level course, primarily dealing with the laws at sea. And I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. And there were things that in every year that I taught that class, there was not a session that happened that didn't have some bearing on what I was teaching. Pueblo being one. The poor the Baltic sailor who was on a fishing vessel, a Russian fishing vessel, off the coast of New England, who asked for political asylum, jumping on to a Coast Guard patrol vessel. And the Coast Guard officer contacted his admiral, who said, put him back on the fishing vessel. Now, I'm sure that guy was looking at his career, but when that fisherman hit that deck, he was on U.S. property. And the admiral's order, in my opinion, was in error. And but I was able to use that as a teaching tool for us to understand that as officers, while we have our obligation to answer to our command, we have a higher obligation to recognize that this is U.S. soil. In any event, I stopped doing that in the 3rd year because by then I was in the U.S. Attorney's office and was involved in some very complex prosecutions, and I had no further reserve duty, no other connection with the Navy until I joined Swift Boat Sailors Association in 1995.